What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Commerce Compound. Today I'm going to answer the question, what is Google Analytics and what does Google Analytics do? So this is really going to be like a Google Analytics tutorial for beginners. So if that's you, definitely stick around. We're going to be going over some great things today, like the Google Analytics layout, basic reporting, campaigns, and even conversion tracking. So it's really going to be an interesting video. Stick with me. So the first thing that I want to answer is, why digital analytics, right? A lot of people sort of ask the question of like, why is this something I should be paying attention to, that I should be using? And really the beauty of the digital marketing age is that we have access to understanding our campaign performance like never before, right? We can have real-time data that tells us how our marketing is performing, whether you're just doing simple social media posts or you're really running ads and you're really getting into your digital marketing and you want to sort of understand your performance both in real time and how your investment is paying off, right? So that's what makes Google Analytics so strong, is that it pulls together so much data, everything from your website to your social media, your search engine marketing, everywhere that your business lives online. A lot of it can be traced back to Google Analytics. And so, the way that it's set up is with code. And so, in your code, there is some simple snippets that you can add that will allow you to track every visitor to your site and where they came from, and a lot of other information on them, whether it be, demographic information, like their interests, their gender, their age, and, even their interests, like what they're interested in, and all kinds of things like this, so that you can really get to know your customers and you can optimize your marketing for better performance and get you a better return on your money. That's what we all want, right? So I'm actually going to take you inside the Google Analytics platform right now. So stick with me. We're going to be going over some great things. So right now we are inside of Google Analytics, and so right now we're actually looking at the data for the Google Merchandise Store. So we're going to see all the data from the Google Merchandise Store. I'm just going to use this as an example so that I can show you how to navigate through Google Analytics and show you the different kind of reports and the data and insights that you can gain from using this tool. So we're going to start off just sort of understanding the navigation of Google Analytics. The first thing I want to show you is this homepage. The homepage is really valuable in the sense that they give you a lot of different metrics. These are just high-level metrics that are, most useful to the most amount of people. These are the things that people typically care about, but, they may or may not be relevant to your business. But I just want to show you real quick, the different kind of things that are available on this homepage, okay? Pretty cool to see the different kind of metrics that they show. But really, we're going to actually jump into this menu over here on the left. You can see my cursor right over here, clicking on real time. And first we're going to go into this real time report. So what I mean by real time is that we're actually seeing data about the people using the Google Merchandise Store right now in this moment. So as you can see right here, there are 46 active users on the site, and we can see some other pretty cool information about how people are currently interacting with this site. In fact, we can see the top web pages that people are visiting on this site. We can see where these people are coming from. For example, the keywords that they searched into Google to get here. We can see any social media traffic that brought people here. And we can see other websites that referred users to this site. And again, it's all in real time happening right now. In addition, we can even see the top locations of people who are on this site right now. Pretty cool, because you know what I mean? It sort of gives you an understanding of how your website is performing in the moment. So, some of this information may definitely seem kind of creepy in the sense that you can see where somebody is in the moment, what they're looking at on your site, where they came from, all as it's happening. But, if you just launched a new campaign, or you're really active on social media at the moment, and you just made a post and you want to see how it's driving people back to your site, things like this, then a real-time report can actually be really valuable for you. But moving on from that, I know that doesn't offer as much value to sites that aren't driving a lot of traffic, but I thought it was interesting to show anyway. So we're going to jump into the audience report right here. So there are all different kinds of reports, and within the audience report, we have all these other smaller reports that we can look at. For example, active users, the lifetime value of your users, the demographics of your users, their interests, where they're from, their behavior on your site, things like this. But for right now, we're just going to look at this overview report, okay, so that we can see all the most important metrics. So you can see up in the top right here, we have this timeline, okay? So we're right now looking at data from the past week. But if you wanted to, you could change all of these dates to, whatever dates you need to analyze, you can do that right up there. So right now, the first thing that I want to show you is this line graph. Now, this is a familiar aspect of all the different overview reports in Google Analytics. You can change, right now we're looking at different users, but you can change this line graph to show you all kinds of different things. But, what I want to show you real quick is that this gives you the data by day, right? So you can see the dates when there are spikes in your website's performance. So, for example, perhaps you launched a new ad campaign on a Tuesday, right? And you see the spike. You see how the traffic was down here, and then all of a sudden it started to spike. The benefit of something like this is that you can actually see how different marketing campaigns are spiking traffic to your website, things like this. There's two different ways to look at data in Google Analytics. One way is that you can just look at it and say, oh, it's a number. How does that really help me, right? And so usually when we first get into Google Analytics, that's the way we look at it. But I want to help you understand that there are other ways to see this, and that is the opportunities that exist and understanding the return on your investment. So again, maybe, for example, the Google Merchandise Store team had done some other marketing outside of the website, whether it be social media or search engine marketing, other things like that, that maybe drove this spike in users on that day, right? So just a different way to think about why our, data is what it is. So down in here, we can actually get into some detailed metrics. So for example, we can see the number of users that have come to the site in the last week. So it's 12,246, right? We can see, the number of pages that these people viewed. We can see how much time on average people are spending on our website when they visit it, right? So a lot of different information here. Now, one thing that you may realize is that there are a lot of terms that are specific to Google Analytics, terms that maybe you don't know what these mean, right? And so one really important thing is to hover your mouse over any word that you don't know, and Google Analytics will define it for you. So you can see here that I hovered my cursor over number of sessions per user, and it actually gives us a definition of that, the average number of sessions per user, right? So whatever it may be, they give you a definition for it in this little black box. So this is a really easy way to learn about Google Analytics and what they mean with each of these metrics. Now, moving further in the overview report, I just want to show you some different things and some ways to think about them. For example, we have language here. Now, we can see that the majority of users are speaking American English. So, obviously it makes sense for the website to, default to that. But, it also makes sense for users coming from other areas, like France, for example, who speak French. It makes sense for the website to either A, default to French for those users, or for the website to have a Google Translate button where a user can simply click the button and choose their language so that the rest of the content on the website changes to their preferred language. And, that's really important because it allows you to keep those users on your site longer and hopefully do more business with them. So, is that something that you specifically need to focus on? I don't know, but what I want you to gain from this is the way that you can look at data as an opportunity to optimize and keep more users on your site, bring more users into your site, and overall grow your business, right? You can, if the website was only focusing on American English speaking users, and there were all these other users who speak other languages, they could be losing out on a lot of business, right? So, just a way to think about the different data in here. Now, some other cool things here, if we're looking at demographics specifically, we can see the different countries that users are coming from. And so if we see that, for example, India has a lot of users coming into the website, then, perhaps they want to try to, invest more in their marketing towards users in India, right? So just some different ways to think about, how you can use this data to your advantage. Another common example would be by looking at the number of users coming from different browsers, right? So most users are coming from Chrome, other users are coming from Safari. Maybe this was unknown to the business before, and they realize, wait a minute, I happen to know that my website does not perform as it should on Safari, but I have a lot of users coming to my site from the Safari web browser. So that would tell you to make some improvements to your website for users who are using the Safari browser, right? Again, helping you to do better business with those users and overall grow your business. So that's the overview report, right? And so again, I was talking about these different metrics in here, these different reports. One thing I really want to show you real quick is demographics, interests, all these different reports over here in the left-hand menu, just show you how they can go more in depth. I'm not actually going to get into any of these, but I just want to give you a quick highlight that there are all these different, segmented reports that are really specific. So, if you get to a point where you're really getting comfortable in Google Analytics and you want to work your way around, this opportunity does exist as well. There are plenty of data points in here that you can gather so that you can really start to make improvements to your website. But moving on from the audience report, I want to take you now into the acquisition report. And you can see this over here on the left in this menu here. I'm going to click on the overview report for acquisition. This works the same as the other, where we can see an overview report of the most important metrics, but we also, again, have those more specific reports as well. So in here, we can see some different things like the top channels that are driving users into the Google merchandise store, right? So, for example, we can see in this pie chart here that organic search engine optimization, it is driving the most amount of users into this store. So you can look at that in one of two ways. Perhaps this company had already put a lot of investment into their search engine optimization, and this proves the return on their investment. Or you may be in a situation where this is unknown to you. You didn't realize how much of your traffic is coming from organic search, and so you realize this is a channel that you really should, where you could really be pouring fuel on the fire, right? You could be investing more in something that is working so that you can drive even more users into your site and grow your business like that. So pretty cool here to see all the different sites all the different types of channels that are driving users into the site. Now, what's also kind of cool down here, ignore all these bars right here. What I want you to focus on is right up here, user, under acquisition. Right up here, I'm going to highlight it for you. Right under there, we have users, new users, sessions, things like that. I'm going to focus on this area real quick. What we can see here is that each of these channels breaks down by these metrics up top. So, for example, we can see that 7,000 users came from organic search to this website in the last week, right? And we can see that 2,000 other users were referred to this website from other websites. So this is a really great way to just sort of see the breakdown of each channel and understand how it's driving users into your site. If we wanted to see new users, for example, then these numbers down here change, right? So we can see that, from organic search, 6,000 new users came from organic search, and we can see all these other numbers, again, helping you realize where your investments are paying off and perhaps where you can add fuel to the fire in other areas in order to spike performance. So, for example, they may see that there are some promising results coming from other websites referring users to the Google merchandise store, and they realize that perhaps they should put some additional investments into that kind of affiliate marketing, right? So, Moving on from the acquisition report, I want to take you next into the behavior report, okay? So in the behavior reports, we're sort of understanding how users are interacting with our site, the content that they're looking at, what they're searching on the site, things like this, right? So if we come down here, again, we can see this line chart. And so without getting into this, I just want to point out the familiarity, right? I mean, this is a pretty common layout in a lot of the reports where, every report doesn't change, right? There's different metrics involved, different dimensions involved, but for the most part, the layout of these reports stays the same, just making it an easy experience for you to dive into the data once you sort of wrap your head around what you're looking at and you get more comfortable being inside Google Analytics. So we can see down here in the behavior report some different things like page views, right? Right up here in the middle, we can see page views. We can see average time on page. So, for example, the number of page views, we can see that 67,000 pages were viewed on the site in the last week, and we also know from earlier that there were around 12,000 users who came to the site. So you can do the math, but you can see how many pages each user is visiting on average, right? And so that can be really useful information for your business, especially if you're a website that is trying to drive users through your website. Perhaps you have blogs, perhaps you're using Google Analytics for a blog, or you have an online store and you want users to look at different products, and understanding your page views and how many pages each user is looking at can be important because it helps you realize the success that your website is having in its design to lead users through the site from page to page rather than them coming to the site and then leaving, right? And we can see that over here in the bounce rate. Now bounce rate just basically says this is the percentage of people who came to a page and then did not interact with it at all. They saw it and they decided it wasn't for them and they left, right? So we want to keep that bounce rate as low as possible because, the lower it is, the more users are coming through our website. And just one other metric I want to point out, average time on page. This is also another metric that is important to businesses because, if you have a time on page that is super low, low to a point where nobody could possibly be getting any value from your website, then that's a red flag, right? We want users to stay on each page for an amount of time that says they were able to get value, they were able to find what they needed in that amount of time, and they also weren't on each page for a super long amount of time because they weren't able to find what they needed, right? So, will all of these metrics be relevant to your business? I don't know, because every business differs, right? But these are the most common metrics that people look at. So if you're a beginner in Google Analytics, these are some things where you can get started understanding the business. And I really just want to help you understand how to think about each of these different metrics, because a lot of people, when they first get into Google Analytics, they see the information and they don't really know how to analyze it, right? So a lot of this information just feels like numbers, right? We could look at the page views and just say, all right, 67,000 page views. Who cares? But when you start to look at the opportunities and what it means to have 67,000 page views in comparison to the number of users who came through and all that kind of stuff, when you start to connect the dots, that's when you start to derive value from Google Analytics. So moving on further into the behavior report here, we can actually see the different web pages that people visited, right? So we can see how many views each of those pages got. So right now we're looking at the top 10 pages in the Google Merchandise store. Now, this can be really useful in the sense that perhaps, for example, let's look at this sign-in page number 4 right here. Perhaps you have a site where you have people sign into your website, right? And you want to make sure that people are signing into their account before they buy anything because they get great benefits by doing that. Maybe there are specific promotions that you give to people who are signed into their account or special offers to people who are signed into their account. And then you realize that the views for this sign-in page start to drop, right? That would be a red flag. If the people visiting that page started to drop, you would want to maybe make some changes to your site in order to drive more people into that page so that they sign in and they benefit from the special offers, because you know that when they benefit from the special offers, they'll come back for more. Without getting down a rabbit hole in way of thinking, I just wanted to, give you an idea of sort of how to think about data, right? It's really important. So let's click on search term. Now, I don't know why people are searching the word gopher on the Google Merchandise Store, but for some reason they are. What's really cool about the search term report is that you can see the different terms people are searching on your site. So I use this myself on a few different websites that I work with, and it becomes super valuable to see what people are searching on our site, because it helps me to understand the exact products that people are looking for, the exact content that people are looking for, and how we can better surface that content and those products for them, right? So if you have search functionality on your website, then the search term report can actually be really beneficial. So moving on from there, that covers sort of a lot of the reports in here. Now, one last thing, we have the conversion report, which basically gets into e-commerce. If you have, an online store, then that can be really beneficial for you. I'll take you into that real quick. Just give you an overview of that real quick. Again, sort of the familiar layout that we're used to, right, with the layout here. We can see some high-level metrics like revenue, conversion rate, transactions, average order value, a lot of different information in here. And again, all of this could be looked at as, well, it's just a number. That doesn't help me. But when you start to think about it in the terms of the opportunities that are behind those numbers, and you start to connect the dots between different metrics, that is when you will get the most value and the most benefit from digital analytics. So, one final thing that I want to cover for you real quick is that, I know there are a lot of data points in here. There are a lot of metrics, a lot of dimensions inside Google Analytics, and it can become overwhelming. So rather than having to look through all of them every time you just want to gather some simple information, you can actually create some custom dashboards. So these dashboards are fully customized to what you care about and only what you care about. Now, the Google Merchandise Store has some set up already. I'm going to click on this one just to show you an overview of what it can look like. For this one, we're looking at SEO performance, in other words, search engine optimization. And so in here, they have all the different search engine metrics that they care about the most. And so the beauty of the custom dashboards is that you can reference this, and it's a quick way to reference the most important metrics to your business. So, for example, if they like to be able to know the total visits to their website from SEO, they can see that number right here, right? On the other hand, if they want to see the different search engines being used to bring people to their website, then they can use this pie chart right here, right? They can add this pie chart in here, and they can see that Google is driving the most users to their website, but these other search engines are also driving traffic as well. And so that can be important in the sense that it helps them to prioritize which search engines they optimize their website for next. So perhaps their website is fully optimized for Google, but they also realize that some of these other search engines like Bing and Yahoo are being used, and that they should take priority in optimizing their site for those search engines as well, right? So just some different ways to think about these different metrics and how they can benefit your business. So with all that being said, that is really it for, this Google Analytics tutorial. There's so much data in here, and I definitely don't want to bore you or have your head spinning. So as always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If this video helped you at all to better understand Google Analytics, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below so I can get back to you. Plus, one last thing, if you want to join a community of millennials sharing the journey through business, money, and success, subscribe to the Commerce Combine. I post new videos every week, so if you want to be part of that, again, click subscribe and also hit that notification bell so YouTube notifies you every time I put up a new video.